Are you serious? I had a ban list skit that I was going to upload as a short, recorded and edited. I was waiting for it to render, and suddenly the ban list comes out. Now the skit's not funny anymore. Now that we know what's on the ban list, okay? All right. Well, I guess I'm reacting to it. I've already seen the changes, but we're going to go through them one by one and give some commentary. First of all, Snow rebanned. I don't even know why they unbanned it in the first place. It's one of the most broken cards in the game. People were calling for it to be rebanned, and I wasn't even convinced that it was going to happen, because why would they unban Snow only to immediately ban it again on the next list? I mean, I guess that's okay. I personally like Snow. I've been jamming it in several decks trying to make it work. I'm just glad that the branded list that I've been working on doesn't play Snow. Plays a different light target for branded fusion. Otherwise, I'd have to be completely rethinking my strategy on that one. Ronin Toten banned. That's an interesting one. In my original video where I was talking about the ban list a while ago, I mentioned that I could maybe see them banning Ronin Toten if they didn't feel like banning Toad. The problem that this brings up is that now it's harder for certain decks to get into Toad. But for decks like Tearlament that have access to level 2 Aquas in their engine, I can see them just kind of having access to Toad anyway. It makes Swap Frog a much less strong normal summon. There really isn't anything you can bin off of Swap Frog that makes it worth it. I saw further down the list that they unbanned Substitoad. I mean, Substitoad could have come off a long time ago. Ronin Toten was not the problem with Substitoad. Substitoad was a relic of an old format that had an extremely consistent FTK, but even then it was consistent for the time. If you look at the way it's played, watch the history of Yu-Gi-Oh, where MBT and Simo talk about it and play it, it still takes several turns to actually get the combo off most of the time. You sometimes high roll hands where you draw the absolute nuts, but every deck has that where it's functionally an FTK. Hulk banned. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I feel like for a long time Hulk has been a problem, but we just kind of pretend like he isn't because they just refuse to ban him. I feel like it's about that time to have him out of the game. As much as I think this means that Auroradon really isn't a problem, they could probably unban Auroradon now that Hulk is banned. Hulk really did enable a lot of things and made it where a lot of cards needed to be on the ban list, which we will get to. There's some that came off as a result of Hulk being removed from the format. Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. What? Yeah, he's he's a better Dante, but it's still just I don't know. I feel like, first of all, this really heavily nerfs the Punk engine, because that was one of the big reasons why Punk was such a powerful engine, was because it was a one card Chaos Ruler. The issue with that, though, is that I don't think Chaos Ruler was the problem with those decks. And Chaos Ruler really enabled a lot of really cool plays. I figured Chaos Ruler was a safe card. I figured he wouldn't get banned. I don't know. Maybe Konami knows something that I don't, but I don't think Chaos Ruler was that big of a problem. Now, Red Reboot, on the other hand, I feel like Red Reboot is kind of like the trap equivalent of Maxi. It's one of those cards that I think at one is just isn't really healthy for the game. It's very sacky, and people just feel like they're just getting blown out by a one of. At 3, I think it's unfair, but it's less of, I guess, it's less tilting when you get Red rebooted in a trap deck. And there's not even very many good trap decks right now. Maybe getting Red Reboot banned will help that, but you still have Harpies at 1. You still have 3 Cosmic, 3 Twin. You still have Lightning Storm at 3. I still feel like trap decks are just kind of, at a huge disadvantage in the current format. I mean, yeah, traps need some help, but I think a better way to help them is to either reban Harpies, limit Lightning Storm, or just, I don't know, give them more counterplay to these cards. Give them more stuff like Starlight Road or Waking the Dragon. Give them cards that allow them to play even if they get their entire back row blown out. As it stands, I think that these bans like are extremely uneven. I feel like Chaos Ruler and Red Reboot are just kind of almost out of left field to a certain extent. I feel like none of the top decks were using Chaos Ruler. Maybe they were concerned that people would start using Chaos Ruler in Tearlament, but I don't think that's something that they needed to be worried about. Like none of the top decks were using it. Yeah, Punk used it, but it's not like taking down a YCS. What Mystic Mine won multiple YCSs. Like literal Mystic Mine Burn won Rio de Janeiro, and Mystic Mine basically won the one where Sky Striker won. What one was that? Hartford, I think. Like I don't know. Mystic Mine is so much bigger of a problem than any of these cards. I'd argue a bigger problem than Snow and Hulk. But no, Mystic Mine's still at 3. Spoilers, it's not anywhere else on the list. Let's go to the limited section. Let's just go down the list and talk about the ones I already talked about. So there's 2 on here that were taken off as a result of Hulk being banned. So we've got Blackwing, Steam the Cloak, and Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion. That's amazing because the O-Lion was part of the Scrap Orchist deck that I played a while ago. And I was really upset when O-Lion got banned. People started using Crystron Rosenix as a replacement, but it's just not the same, you know? Like you want the O-Lion. I don't know. O-Lion's just my friend. I don't think I've ever played the game when Steam the Cloak was legal. Was it legal in like 2018 or 2019? I feel like it wasn't. I feel like it was banned around that time. I don't know if Hulk was the reason Steam got banned. I'm not going to argue with Konami, though. This is their game, so they can do whatever the hell they want, I guess. Cyberjar is unbanned. Oh, I was going to talk about the ones that I already talked about. So, Substitoad is unbanned. I guess Ronin Toadin was the problem, right? Because Substitoad's back. You still have Swap Frog. You still have all the other frogs legal. You still have Toad. I'm interested to see if Substitoad becomes the cornerstone of a new deck if people start tunneling into a version of frogs that uses Substitoad as a means to try and get multiple frogs on the field instead of using Ronin Toadin. I don't know. One thing I will say is if Substitoad decides to come back to more than one, I think, can Substitoad tribute itself? Okay, yeah, it can tribute itself. So Substitoad, as it stands, as I see it, if you're still wanting to play frogs in the year of our Lord 2022, now that Ronin Toadin is banned, I see Substitoad as just your 4th copy of Swap Frog. In a deck like Tearlament, Substitoad as a normal summon seems pretty strong because as you get more bodies on the field, you can translate those bodies into level 2 Aquas, which can get you into your Toad. I just feel like that's so bad, though. I really feel like Substitoad's going to do nothing. I feel like it could have gone to 3 and nothing would change. Let's back up. Cyberjar, like I said, Cyberjar is now unbanned. I was always convinced, even as a flip monster, this card just wasn't going to come off the list. I feel like the more you give to Empty Jar, the closer to the end times we become. Spellbook of Judgment, kind of saw that coming. I think this might have happened after I released my video, but the OCG unbanned Spellbook of Judgment, and I think, yeah, Master Duel also unbanned Spellbook of Judgment. And from the play that I've been seeing of people testing out Spellbook of Judgment in Master Duel, spellbooks are not very good, folks. So I expect this card to probably do nothing. I don't think it can come back to 3. If it comes back to 3, then it gains a lot more consistency tools. It becomes a much better splash in other decks. I mean, being able to just add 2 spellbooks and then summon a Jowgen at the end of your combo is just unreal. A Pointer of the Red Lotus is limited. I'm glad I got to use this card in the first episode of Dexploration before it got limited. It's interesting because the same thing happened to Mind Control, and then not long after that, Change of Heart came off the list. So I think this might be the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, that they're going to start doing more things like that. Whereas cards that already exist in the game that have banned counterparts see play, they're going to reduce the copies of the one that's seeing play and then maybe unban the one that is similar. So I can see Red Lotus going to 1 and then maybe a list or 2 or 3 later they unban Trap Dust Shoot, which would be awesome, by the way. Trap Dust Shoot, I think, is a while the removal is permanent, I think it's worse in the sense that you can only remove monsters. One of the things that makes a pointer so strong is the fact that you can remove spells and traps. So if your opponent has like a lightning storm in their hand, you can take the lightning storm. But if they have 2 answers to what you have, you can take their combo piece or you can take their starter. No additions to the semi-limited list. Let's see what's been unlimited. This is a lot. I just realized, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but Fusion Destiny has been put to 3. I only have 2 Ultras. Oh, man, that means I have to either pick up a 3rd one or switch to using my Supers. Or I have to play mismatched rarities, which I am not above, by the way. I will play 2 Ultras and a Super. First up is Dynamite Knight going to Unlimited. This is scary because in the Masochist Banlist tournament that MBT hosted, every time he's given Draco more to work with, they've just gotten more annoying. They have 3 skill drain, they have Erupt, they have a lot. They don't have Kaiser Coliseum like they have in the OCG and in Master Duel, and they don't have Vanities like they did in Master Duel before it got banned, thankfully. But 3 Dynamite Knight. Dynamite Knight's the best one. So I can see that causing people to want to try and pick back up True Draco. I can maybe see a resurgence in True Draco Sky Striker, but with Demise at 1, that seems kind of iffy. Cyber Angel Ben 10 to 3. With Ava banned, I think Drytron is just kind of eh. But I like to see this because I've been looking to pick up Drytron, and if Drytron sees more play as a result of Ben 10 going to 3, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'll be a little mad if the cards get more expensive, but anyway. Shooting Riser Dragon. Was Shooting Riser Dragon limited? I don't remember that happening. I mean, I vaguely remember people wondering why on earth they did that because no one ever played more than 1 Shooting Riser in any of those combo decks. But I guess Shooting Riser's at 3 now. Like I said, Fusion Destiny at 3. Nadir's Servant. Yeah, I don't have a Dogmatica core yet, so I expect Nadir's Servant is going to go up in price as a result of this. Trickstar Light Stage to 3 is pretty pog. As much as I hate Trickstar, just as a concept, I think their win condition is completely annoying. I do appreciate that Trickstar Light Stage did not need to be on the Forbidden and Limited list. And last but certainly least, Wall of Revealing Light to 3. I don't know why this card has continued to be limited for as long as it has. This card is terrible. I understand that it's on the list because it allows you to pay an arbitrary amount of life points to enable certain other cards that require you to have below a certain amount of life points. But I don't think it's worth it. I really think this card is bad. Like, it's so bad. But yeah, that's everything. For me, this list seems incomplete. So much of it is good. So much of it is stuff that I personally was wanting, but so much of it is either weird stuff that I don't understand, like the Chaos Ruler, and so much of it is just stuff that I think, I don't know, I understand it, but I don't like it. Like a pointer to 1. I really feel like a pointer didn't need to go to 1. The Cyber Jar coming off the list, I'm a little worried about. I understand that it's not going to do anything at like a competitive level, but I'm not interested in rolling up to locals and getting completely RNG'd out the ass because someone rolled up with Empty Jar and drew the nuts. I'm interested to see if some of these cards that peeled off the list find places in the meta, but if this is what they're doing, I really think Glow Up Bulb should have came back. And Spellbook of Judgment was so before my time. It's like When Tempest came back, everyone was losing their minds because it was a Dragon Ruler. Dragon Rulers were like a tier 0 deck. But with Judgment, it's the same concept, I guess. Judgment basically made spellbooks playable against Dragon Rulers, but the game has so far eclipsed the power level of Spellbook of Judgment. Like, there's cards that are currently legal, some at 3, that are considered modern day equivalents to Judgment. And there's just no good spellbooks to search. I feel like the one that draws is really good, and Fate is really good, but both of them require setup. And because Judgment searches in the end phase, the only real benefit to Judgment is that you get the summon from deck, which can be a Jowgen, which can lock your opponent out of special summoning. But Jowgen is such a tiny little man. Like, he's such a small guy. Like, just normal summon anybody and just attack over him. Like, it's not hard. But yeah, that's the list. Just kind of sitting here, upset that I can't upload that skit, but guess I can't complain too much. We finally got the list. I wish I was more excited. There's just no fun removals off the list. None of these cards that came to limited for banned are really doing it for me. It's still just going to be Sprite and Tearlament till the heat death of the universe.